Well, good afternoon, everybody. 307 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and this is the 26th day of July, and there's a lot going on today. A lot of stuff and a lot of ground to cover. Let me just give you a few ideas of some of the things we'll be talking about here today. There was a UFO hearing on Capitol Hill today, and you might think that would be your lead when somebody testifies that they think the United States is in possession of aliens, but that's not even our lead story today. There's another incident that occurred on Capitol Hill today. Mitch McConnell had a brain freeze, and it looked very concerning for a few moments. We'll talk about that. And interest rates went up to a 22-year high, actually. All those are things that are going on, but those aren't the most important stories of the day. The big story today is Hunter Biden went in to have what was expected to be, by all accounts, a little rap on the knuckles, a little slap on the wrist, a plea deal, a really sweetheart plea deal that had been worked out for him. And you know what? The judge said, I'm not having any of that. It completely imploded today. And now nobody knows exactly where the thing stands, but let me see if I can go through this for you and help you understand what happened, because it wasn't a total surprise. The judge always has the final say, but not many people expected that the judge was going to do this. Hunter Biden's plea deal fell apart, according to Fox News, during his first court appearance Wednesday morning. He pleaded not guilty as federal prosecutors confirmed the president's son is still under investigation. He was expected to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax counts of willful failure to pay federal income tax as part of a plea deal to avoid jail time on a felony gun charge. But Judge Mary Ellen Noriega did not accept the plea agreement, questioning the constitutionality of one particular provision of that deal. Hunter Biden was also expected to enter into a pretrial diversion agreement regarding a separate felony charge of possession of a firearm by a person who's an unlawful user or addicted to a controlled substance. The judge pressed federal prosecutors on the investigation and questioned whether there was the possibility of future charges, and asked prosecutors if Hunter Biden was currently under active investigation. Paying attention here, this is good. Prosecutors said that he was, but would not specifically answer what the president's son is under investigation for. So the prosecutors on Wednesday, though, said Hunter Biden pleading guilty to the 2 misdemeanor tax offenses would not immunize him from future charges. So then there was this exchange between the judge. At one point, Noriega asked Justice Department prosecutor Leo Wise whether there is an ongoing investigation here. There is, Wise said, adding that he could not tell the judge what the investigation was. Noriega asked if the government could potentially bring a charge related to the Foreign Agents Registration Act, to which Wise, the prosecutor, replied yes. At that point, the original plea deal broke down. Defense attorney Chris Clark said he did not agree with that. Then there's no deal, Wise said. As far as I'm concerned, the plea deal is null and void. So after that, both sides asked the judge for some time to negotiate, and Noriega left the courtroom for about 20 minutes or so and allowed both sides to continue the negotiations. Ultimately, Hunter Biden pleaded not guilty because Noriega could not accept the plea deal as it was constructed. She repeatedly expressed her concerns about the constitutionality of a diversion deal related to the felony gun charge, specifying that the main issue with the agreement was that if Hunter Biden breached the deal, the judge would need to make a finding of fact on the matter before the government could bring charges. And Judge Noriega said she saw that as being outside of her lane, noting that if the diversion agreement might be unconstitutional, then the entire plea deal would be unconstitutional, meaning that Hunter Biden would not be getting the immunity he thought he was receiving. Mr. Biden, she said to Hunter Biden, I know you want to get this over with. I'm sorry, but I need to get more information to do justice as I am required to do. The judge asked for briefings from both sides, but did not set a firm date. So as it stands now, Hunter Biden has pleaded not guilty to the charges. The plea deal has completely blown up or imploded. I've seen a whole bunch of different kinds of adjectives used to describe what happened, but the plea deal is no more, which means that Hunter Biden is apparently still under investigation and could still face felony charges. Not clear at all how this is going to be resolved. Over at the White House, Karine Jean-Pierre had this to say.
Hunter Biden is a private citizen, and this was a personal matter for him. As we have said, the president, the first lady, they love their son, and they support him as he continues to rebuild his life. This case was handled independently, as all of you know, by the Justice Department under the leadership of a prosecutor appointed by the former president, President Trump.
So there you have that. Now, we'll get more into who this judge is in just a moment, because there's some interesting stuff in the file on this one, and not at all what you might expect. At the White House, as I told you, they said it was a personal matter, and then, Karine wasn't going to touch it. But there was a great question asked about, in the past, the president of the United States has had very firm feelings about the enforcement of gun laws. And, does he have any opinion about, this particular violation of a gun law by his son? And here's how that played out.
As it relates to the case that we're seeing in Delaware, I'm just going to not speak to that. It is an independent matter. This is up for the Department of Justice. Even with the question that you're asking me, it's one of those legal criminal matters, and it's up to that process, that legal process. I'm just not going to speak to it here.
But again, the president, when he was a senator, crafted gun legislation. As president, he talks often about the need to get illegal firearms off of our streets. So when someone possesses one illegally, what does the president believe should happen to them?
The president has been very clear. You just laid out where his position has been, what his policies has been, what he was able to pass into law. I'm going to be very mindful here. I'm going to be very careful because I see where this question is going. And I'm just going to refer you, as this has been an independent investigation. It's overseen by the Department of Justice. I'm going to let them speak to this as they are moving forward.
And I'll give you the the translation. I wouldn't touch that question with a 10-foot pole, is what she was saying. Who is this judge, Mary Ellen Noriega? This is a story by the Washington Examiner, looked into this person's background. Delaware Federal District Judge Mary Ellen Noriega was an appointee of former President Donald Trump, threw a curveball into Hunter Biden's sweetheart plea deal today. She's a former patent lawyer from the state of Delaware, and she initially appeared poised to reject the agreement that would avoid a felony gun charge. However, the younger Biden instead pled not guilty. Okay. She has a bipartisan support for her appointment when she came up, and the support of both Democrat home state senators. She was widely expected by legal experts to approve Hunter Biden's plea deal before it fell apart. Noriega has experience in several legal cases over her years, and they go through to list several of those. She has a history. I think this is where you want to check in. Noriega has a history of bipartisan donations. Federal records indicate she donated over $15,000 to political candidates since 1999. On the Democrat side of the equation, Noriega donated $1,000 to then presidential candidate Hillary Clinton in 2008 and $1,000 to the Democrat Senatorial Campaign Committee, the campaign arm for the Senate Democrats, in 2009. For Republicans, she gave $2,300 to then GOP presidential nominee John McCain in 2008 and donated $2,500 to Senator Mitt Romney's presidential campaign in 2012. Noriega also supported Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas during his 2014 campaign and former Republican Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum way back in 2005. And she was a Trump appointee supported by the two Democrat members of the Senate from the state of Delaware. One other item came up. The judge overseeing Hunter Biden's criminal case accused a member of his legal team of misrepresenting themselves to the clerk's office, an unusual development that has raised the possibility of sanctions. Biden's lawyers insisted this was a big misunderstanding in court filings. At issue was an attempt by House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith, R. of Missouri, to block Biden's plea agreement ahead of Wednesday's hearing. Smith had filed documents Tuesday, sort of an amicus brief, a friend of the court briefing, urging the judge to consider recent testimony to Congress by IRS whistleblowers who alleged Biden received preferential treatment. Court filings indicate that Jessica Bengals, an administrative staff member at Latham & Watkins, a firm representing Biden, called a member of the court clerk's office just before noon yesterday, seeking the documents' removal from the public docket, saying they contain secret details, including Social Security, taxpayer, and grand jury information. But U.S. District Judge Mariela Noriega, who's overseeing Biden's case, later suggested Bengals had pretended to call from the committee chairman's law firm. Noriega ordered Biden's attorneys to submit in writing why they should not be sanctioned. It appears the caller misrepresented her identity and who she worked for in an attempt to improperly convince the clerk's office to remove the amicus materials from the docket. Responding to Noriega's order Tuesday night, a Biden attorney said there was no misrepresentation. It's all just a big, hairy misunderstanding. So there you have it, a shocking set of developments today. In just a moment, where is this thing going forward? And we need to touch base on what happened to Mitch McConnell today, because it was a scary moment. But right now, it's 20 minutes past the hour, 3 o'clock on Super Talk. We talk all the time about the diamonds at Genesis Diamonds. That's their specialty. Diamonds are not a side business for Genesis. It's the core of who they are. That's why Genesis has 30-plus years connections in the industry. It's how they can truly cut out layers of middlemen and their markups. It's how Genesis can maintain a diamond selection that's up to 30 times what you might find in other stores. This is a diamond powerhouse, whether you're looking for a half-carat or a 20-carat diamond. But don't forget, Genesis has case after case of exquisite fashion jewelry as well. Earrings, bracelets, pendants, bands, colored gemstones, gold jewelry, the list goes on. And Genesis has partnered with all the top designers in the jewelry world, top designers from New York and California, with handcrafted pieces, one-of-a-kind heirloom jewelry. And on top of all this, Genesis has one of the largest selections of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in America. If you're dreaming of a Rolex, come see the pristine pre-owned models they have in stock right now, hundreds to pick from. Best part about Genesis, the people. Nobody on commission. They work in your best interest, and they have a passion for making every customer a raving fan. Whatever you need in jewelry, this is the hands-down best place to go. Genesis Diamonds, 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Coming up at 3:30, we talk Hunter Biden pleading not guilty today. A delivery car driver assaulted in Tennessee. And you may have more room to do your business when traveling through the air. Those stories and more coming up at 3:30 right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, on that one, you've got my undivided attention as someone who is 6'4" and never has enough leg room. Mac Maury in the newsroom and Chris Weber is in the control room. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, on this 26th day of July. Big news happening. All kinds of stuff to cover today. Just to finish up one little thing on this this whole Hunter Biden and the plea deal falling apart. There's a real question now of what happens. Devin Archer